We have done till nutrition. Now the next basis of classification on which the animals would be classified into different phylums would be segmentation, and we are going to study about segmentation now. As you can make it out from the name, this particular classification feature would have something to do with segments which would be present in the body of an organism. Now we are going to see the organism as a whole, and the organism over here is an animal, so we are going to consider the animal on a whole. And one thing you have to remember, that this segmentation factor would be belonging exclusively to bilateral symmetrical organisms, not to those which are radially symmetrical, because they do not have organ system grade, and when we do not have organ system grade, the segmentation factor has not come into that level of classification. And next thing you have to understand is that the segmentation is metameric. I am coming to what it means, but before that you need to know what are the two types of segmentation that you are going to come across when you are studying about classifying the organisms. And we see that there are two types of segmentations, namely metameric and non-metameric. Those which are in this prostomia, basically schizocoelomates, are specifically, they are metameric, while the rest ones are non-metameric. I would give you an example of metameric. When we say metameric segmentation, we take the example of earthworm, and when we say non-metameric, there is segmentation, and we take the example of any arthropod, say we take the example of a housefly or a cockroach. So we have segmentation in the body. Supposedly this is an organism, you are going to find segments in the body, and segmentation is a condition where each segment has all those organisms, not organisms, all those organs, and the arrangement is such that it is repeated every time. Now you can see over here, if I am trying to represent the arrangement in such a way where we have this arrangement A, B and C, these are organs I am referring to. In each segment, what you observe is that there is a repetition, and that repetition is known as segmentation, that the organism's body can be divided into small segments, and those segments are nothing but repetition of the earlier segment in terms of organ organization. Now the next one is non-metameric. As the example of cockroach, supposedly there would be one segment that would be fused, then there would be 6 or 7 segments which will have same organs, and the one would differ. Means to say that the repetition would be there, segments would be present, but the segments won't specifically be like this, that all the segments are similar or they are identical. So we have metameric and non-metameric. This is a simplest way of representing. You can see the example of earthworm. In earthworm, what we see in each segment, there is repetition of organs. If it is having nephrostomes, it would have nephrostome at the same place in the next segment. If it is having the part of circulatory system, the similar part would be in the next segment. So each segment is an indication of the entire organism, what it looks like. But in the case of non-metameric segmentation, though segmentation is present, that means the body is divided into different small segments which are copy of other segments, but there is a variation. That means all the segments would not be similar as in the case of metameric segmentation. So these were all the characteristic features on basis of which the animals which are having the cytological characteristic of an animal cell, they would be classified into different phylums. And when we study kingdom Animalia in detail, we see that animals are divided into a gross classification, that is chordates and non-chordates. We come to that, but in the next lessons.